the biggest crowd of the week at Ascot, up to 60,000 enjoying the unique atmosphere of Ascot on Ladies' Day. The royal party are on their way from Windsor Castle. They're now just about to pass in front of the Silver Ring and paddock enclosures. And here to describe the scene, Peter O'Sullivan and Eve Pollard.
And as for the first 2 days, the outriders are Philip Hinson and David Pope, riding two police horses, 15-year-old Libra and 12-year-old Limber. Riding the head coachman to the right, as we see the royal carriage, is Stephen Matthews, who was awarded the Victorian Medal in the birthday honours, in the recent birthday honours. And he, in fact, riding in his 101st royal procession, and the royal carriage with Her Majesty the Queen and Prince Philip, who are accompanied by Prince Khalid bin Abdullah and the Honourable Sir Angus Ogilvy, and Prince Khalid enjoying a fantastic season. Of course, he won the 2,000 guineas with Zaphonic. He won the Derby with Commander-in-Chief, and he's represented by Allegan, among other horses, this afternoon in the Gold Cup. And in the second carriage, Princess Royal, Princess Alexandra, Viscount Boyne and Mr. John Henderson. And the band, a little prematurely, strikes up the national anthem. It's the Band of the Blues and Royals under the direction of Major Bob Garrity.
And you can just see the Queen's hat, which is draped organza in peach there, larger hat than she sometimes wears. And she's got a matching suit to that. There's a three-quarter jacket and a skirt to match. So very pretty in peach, which has been one of the colours we've seen at Royal Ascot. And of course the traditional pearls and brooches that the Queen usually wears. Very pretty colour, that. Prince Philip with a bright red buttonhole. Often this week we've seen gentlemen matching ties and their buttonhole to their ladies. His tie and his buttonhole match one another. Very nice carnation. We're hoping to look into the second carriage, where we'll see the Princess Royal. There she is. She's got one of those flipped back flying saucer hats that are so popular here, particularly with women who put their hair up. And Princess Alexandra is sort of in a pale pink with a wonderful hat, sort of literally abounding with sort of leaves and flowers and all sorts of things on it. Princess Royal in yellow, Princess Alexandra all in very pale, soft buttered pink. There they are. It's very nice to have two younger royals looking so attractive. And there's a black scarf that Princess Alexandra's wearing. I think it's one of the things we've seen all week. You don't have to have splendid jewellery. The right accessories in the right place look absolutely fine. And this week of all weeks, we've seen that just the right colours mixed and matched can look absolutely marvellous. And that's a simple crossover coat that the Princess Alexandra's wearing.
Well, what a wonderful, colourful parade, the most colourful parade of the week, without doubt. But what a huge void is left by the absence of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Recovering at Windsor from a mild bout of flu, and all of us, I'm sure, wish Her Majesty the speediest of recoveries. And how good, too, to see some racing professionals in the parade again. Roger Charlton and his wife came down the course on Tuesday, and Paul Cole and his wife Vanessa, they were in carriage 3 and 4 today. Just adds a real racing touch to the whole occasion. Well, it's the big one today, Ladies' Day at Ascot. Eve Pollard, once again, our fashion commentator. Eve, have they come up to scratch?
Oh, I think they've more than come up to scratch. I do think we're going to see the best fashion today in what has been a very good week. I think there's lots of black again, lots of navy blue and white, and lots more sensible outfits. I've seen one or two crazy things we might see later in the afternoon, but in the main, big hats, big sombreros, the look we've seen all week.
It's been a photo finish with the weather, really, hasn't it? But people have gambled and won so far.
Well, they've won today, I think, so far. Yesterday, I think a lot of us were looking rather sadly at hats that had started off so well and were drooping by the evening. But I certainly think that today people should be all right. There's a terrific wind, so most of us have several hairpins, pins, sellotape, everything on our heads.
But what we've seen so far has been very much the number one day.
Well, it's blue is one of the, I don't say this because I'm wearing, it has been one of the main colours we've seen today. This lady has managed to put absolutely everything that she can, from bag, or not the hat, just the hat trim, in this bright blue, and she's trimmed it with pink. I think you can do an awful lot if you're not blessed with loads of money, just by matching things up. This lady seems to have matched her scarf and her hat, and it's sort of wild cabbage roses everywhere. This is the little petal style hat, which obviously plays to the flower theme, and a longer skirt. Still very few pairs of trousers. And men have been complaining, I haven't been talking about them, but I have been noticing them, but this is a rather nice waistcoat, and it's another layer. It's another layer in the cold. A nice tweed suit. I think we'll see more tweed suits, particularly from ladies who came here yesterday and froze. Very nice check, simple hat on top, and the ever-ready umbrella. Spots, polka dots, all those spots we've seen this week, and there's black and white, still without doubt the favourite colour of this Ascot meeting, and possibly everyone. And the longer skirts perhaps are worn to delineate their new, because they certainly weren't around last year. There's somebody who's sensibly worn a very dressy jumper, so she won't please. And the Chanel look, without doubt, the biggest influence, black and white, very trim indeed.
But the marvellous thing is, it looks as though we're going to get away with it with the weather, doesn't it?
We are going to get away with it, I think, and even if there are showers, it's the reason to have the odd glass of champagne, I hope, today, rather than having to hide out all hours from it.
Eve, thank you. We'll be hearing from Eve throughout the afternoon. Well, yesterday, apart from being quite miserable weather-wise, was really quite a good day not to have had a bet, unless you happen to be a Pat Eddery addict. He read the last three winners, of course, but otherwise it wasn't so easy to find winners. Graham Rock's with us again. Graham, are the plucky punters still in there battling?
It was a bit of a bloodbath yesterday, I'm afraid, but yes, they're back this morning. They've come in hard. Biggest betting race will be the Cork Orrery Stakes. Couple of tremendous gambles there. But really, we're starting off with the Gold Cup, the biggest race of the day, and everybody wants to be on the French mare Sought Out. Corals were the biggest prize, 7-2 early on. That disappeared fairly quickly as the money came, and now a new favourite at 5-2 Sought Out. Still a little bit of 11-4 Assessor. Some outsiders back here: Allegan 16-12, and Daru. A couple of shrewdies, 40-1 into 33-1, but all the money so far Sought Out.
Some people sometimes loathe to back the French horses nowadays, but quite the opposite this week.
Yes, and that's why one or two of them have been starting at pretty big prices. We've had a few years at Royal Ascot with no French winners. People have been carping them, laying them. They've been caught out this time.
Right, well, let's go back to the beginning of the day. The King George V Handicap, always complicated with 4 non-runners. There'll be some deductions, I suppose.
Yes, indeed. Very messy race indeed. The prices I've given here, Julian, are the ones likely to be on the race course. Best back this morning, Pistol River, Circus Colours, Glen Echo, and some money for the bottom one, Alaska. And a slight doubt as to whether Black Dragon will act on the ground, so he hasn't been attracting quite as much support as the others. But lively betting race, they're the ones they've gone for. These are the sort of prices you can expect when they've opened up.
What would you anticipate starting favourite?
Difficult to say. I think probably Pistol River.
And bits and bobs for Devilry?
Yes, a little bit of interest there for the outsiders. A wide open betting race, tremendous handicap, but as I say, the ground will be a factor, obviously.
Right, on to the Cork Orrery, which you say is going to be the number one betting race.
Well, yes, I mean, there are a couple of real gambles here. The Irish won early, College Chapel, 6s into 9-2, but the French horse Dolphin Street, 7-1 into 6-1, Victor Charnley, 21,000 to 3 in one hand. And Julian, punters that aren't seen very often, that phone their accounts, you know, only once in a blue moon. They've been on early asking what price would Dolphin Street be. This is a very, very strongly fancied horse. Bits each way for Gara, Keen Hunter and Marina Park. Good money from the north for her, 20 to 1 into 12 to 1.
Well, the mystery over Marina Park is how was she ever 20 to 1? Because she finished within a length and a half of Symphonic on soft ground last year, and she hasn't done much wrong.
Well, a tremendous price, of course, and as soon as the bookmakers make a mistake, punters don't forgive them. So, yes, now 12 to 1, which is much more realistic.
Right, on to the Norfolk Stakes for 2-year-olds.
Yes, in this race, Redata was pretty solid, 5 to 2 into 2 to 1. Goldland, nobody wants to back Goldland. Very, very easy to back. 3 to 1 out to 4. Money from professionals, Yarmalak, 10 to 1 into 7. They're looking at the form, they're saying this is a big price, and they've taken it. On the outside of Cragganmore, who ran well first time, nibble at 33 into 20 to 1.
Well, Robert Sangster gave us a public tip for Turtle Island yesterday, so we'll see. Anything later on?
I think in the Ribblesdale Stakes there's been very good money this morning for Thawakib, John Dunlop's filly, 9 to 2 into about 3 to 1 best. That will be the biggest gamble of the last 2 races. Hunters after yesterday, I'm afraid, trying to get out of trouble. Let's hope they have a really good day.
Graham, thank you very much indeed. So, Gold Cup Day, the Great Stairs Race, the Gold Cup, and blue skies. And all of that, and Tracy Piggott as well. Tracy, first of all, welcome. How do you think the course is going to ride today? We had 3 quarters of an inch of rain yesterday.
I was talking to clerk of the course, Nicky Beaumont, who was telling me that, but he said he was very pleasantly surprised when he went out this morning because it's drained very well. Frankie Dettori was just coming in from the track, and he said the same, that they've done a marvellous job, and it really isn't nearly as bad as they thought. But I think it's going to ride holding, that's the general opinion. So it's going to take a horse with stamina, especially in the big race, to get through it.
So what does that make your view in the Gold Cup?
It's a difficult one, but I like Assessor. I think he's been highly consistent. Richard Hannon doesn't feel that the ground's going to be too much of a problem. And, you know, he's had 16 runs. He hasn't been out of the first 3 and 13 of those. And I think it's going to take something that's really genuine and tough. And I think that he's that. Sort out the mare from France. She's got a very good chance as well. But I think the Hannon stables we've seen flying form, so that's the one.
Assessor for you and your best bet of the day?
Well, it's been difficult, but I think, you know, I'll have to say College Chapel from Ireland. He's a very good horse. The only disadvantage he has today is his draw. He's drawn quite low, and my father feels it's going to be the middle to high numbers in that race that would have a better draw. I think Dolphin Street from France is the danger, but I'm going to stick with College Chapel because if he's as good as they say, then they should win today.
Tracy, thank you very much. Well, now, the Queen and the Royal Party came down early today, and we know why, because Her Majesty has a runner in the first race, which is Empire Pool, and she's in the paddock. There she is, wearing an apricot shade with Colonel Sir Piers Bengough, Her Majesty's representative at Ascot, and she's surveying the 15 rivals to Empire Pool, and here is Empire Pool, a gelding by Sherwood out of the Royal Mare Reflection, and he's been trained for this race by William Huntingdon, following a second at Epsom on Oaks Day. One of 16, as I say, for the King George V Handicap. Peter O'Sullivan names them.
Number 1 is Al Jazaf, ridden by Cash Asmussen. 2 is Master Charlie, Frankie Dettori. 4, Empire Pool, Alan Munro. 5, Pistol River, John Reed. 6, Life at Key, Darrell Holland. 7, Yami, Richard Hills. 8, Black Dragon, Michael Roberts. 10, Devilry, Jason Weaver. 11, Lijam, Walter Swinburne. 12, Glen Echo, Richard Quinn. 13, Maris Mill, ridden by Michael Hills. 15, Bowman, Philip Robinson. 17, Learmont, John Carroll. 18, Circus Colours, Pat Edery. 19, Contract Court, Dean McKeown, and 20, Alaska, written by Nicky Adams. And here's how they're betting at the moment.
And there's not a lot of betting. Black Dragon and Circus Colours are the joint favourites on 13 to 2. Pistol River 7 to 1, and Alaska 8 to 1. Then 10 to 1 is Lee Jam, Life at Key 12, same price Glen Echo, and Learmont. Maris Mill is on 14 to 1, and it's 16 to 1 by these.
Well, having just said that the Marina Park had a really good each-way chance in the Cork Orrery Stakes, we just heard this moment that Marina Park is a non-runner. Well, one of the leading fancies in the first race is one of several fancied runners that Richard Hannon has during the course of the afternoon. That's Pistol River, a colt that we saw winning at Goodwood last month.
Here comes Pistol River producing a good run. Grand applause on the near side. Lecorne getting right into the argument too. Nemir dropping out of it though as they come down to the 2 furlong marker, and as they do so, Bohemian Crown from Pistol River. Grand applause on the outside. Lecorne is under pressure. They're coming down now towards the furlong pole, and it's Pistol River under John Reed, who's just taken it up from Bohemian Crown on the far side. Lecorne third, Soul Emperor next, and then Grand Applause, and it's Pistol River in the Geisway colours as they race up towards the line. Pistol River's going to beat Bohemian Crown and win it, and Pistol River's the winner. Bohemian Crown is second, Lecorne is third.
Well, the ground was quite fast that day, but he won on ground far softer even than today at Leicester last autumn, so the ground doesn't seem to matter to him. Now, of his rivals, Black Dragon, one of the joint favourites, here he is. Big fine horse by Elamanamu. Most of them go in soft ground. I'm not convinced that Barry Hills feels that this horse will go in the soft. Tracy, do you like him?
Yes, I do. I think his form has held up very well from his last run. We saw Winged Victory run very well earlier on in the week. He's well in at the weights. As you say, he's untried in the soft ground, but I think he's the one they're all going to have to beat. I like the horse, and even though Barry Hills hasn't had a winner at Royal Ascot since '86, this might just break his duck. Looks particularly well.
Last run at Kempton's worked out really well, and certainly from here he's looking in the pink. I wonder what Jimmy and John think.
Well, I agree, Julian, and I agree with Tracy. I think he's got a great chance here. He hasn't run over 1.5 miles before, though, but when winning a 1.25 mile maiden at Sandown, that was a fortnight ago, after making all, he showed he had enough stamina to hold Winged Victory by a line, at the line by a neck. He's by Elamanamu, he's 13-2 joint favourite. As I say, I think the 1.5 miles would be no trouble to him, John. He looked well at Sandown, which is a very stiff 1.25 miles, isn't it?
It is. He certainly didn't look as if the extra distance had troubled him today. The horse he beat, Winged Victory, ran a tremendous race in the King Edward VII Stakes here on the first day. But nonetheless, Black Dragon is drifting in the betting to 8-1 from 13-2.
A big field, so we nearly always get a good gallop here, so I think it'll be a true run race. And now we go to number 5. This is Pistol River, the mount of John Reed. He won his last start, which we've just watched over the day's distance at Goodwood, beating Bohemian Crown rather snugly by a length, I thought. John Reed rode him that day. I think he's going to like this course a little bit better, because that day with Johnny got a tiny bit unbalanced. About 3 out when they started to run down the hill. He's going to meet the ground here when he turns into the straight. John Reed once again is in the saddle. That's number 5, Pistol River. Good chance.
Very good chance. 15-length winner in soft ground at Leicester last October, beating Son of Spring. Son of Spring is a non-runner here, not thought to like the soft ground, but would have had a lot to do to reverse the form in any case with Pistol River, who is one of the leading fancies here and has been tremendously well supported this morning. Now down to 6-1 favourite from an opening show on the course here of 7-1.
A very open market, but it usually is, this race, a very competitive handicap always. Class B handicap, in fact. There you can see the sun is shining here today, unlike yesterday when we were getting torrential rain. And a big crowd, usually always is on Ladies' Day, Gold Cup Day, the biggest crowd of the 4 days at the Royal Meeting. And, well, they've really turned out in style today. You can see that kaleidoscope of colour blending in well with the emerald green paddock, and how well they've got this back after, when you think that people were walking around in a sea of mud yesterday. Let's have a look at number 18 now. In fact, we were talking about colours. This is in fact Circus Colours, trained by John Dunlop. Showed a bit of style when winning a maiden at Ripon in April over 1.25 miles, and a 1.5 mile handicap at Newbury in May. Has a fair bit of knee action, so I think he's going to find that the ground's good for him today. But I think he found Epsom's gradients not to his liking when 4th in the handicap a fortnight ago. He loves a bit of cut, and he should give Pat Edery a great ride today. Pat, who scored a treble here yesterday.
very disappointing at Epsom last time, beaten by Son of Spring, who, as I say, doesn't run, Empire Pool and Le Jam, both of whom do run, beaten into 4th place when odds-on favourite, but the ground should suit him a lot better, and I agree with Jimmy, the course will suit him better too. So Pat Edry, who won the last 3 races today, yesterday, rides Circus colours in the first here today.
The colours of the late Sir Robin McAlpine. Nice and settled as they sort themselves out before they go out onto the course to go to the mile-and-a-half start at the top end, left hand as you look out from the stands, and a mile-and-a-half that takes quite a lot of getting. Aliska, number 20, after winning her maiden at Chepstow in May, followed up with a small race 3 there 5 days ago on the same track, can handle a bit of cut as well. I think she's going to see the mile-and-a-half out well. Nick Adams in the saddle, 8 stone 2 to carry, 8 to 1 in the market, wouldn't be out of it, John.
No, she won at Bath last Saturday on softish ground and went about 10 lengths clear of Buglet, the runner-up, coming to the last furlong, and Nicky Adams pulled her almost to a walk at the finish, so although the official margin was a length, she could have won by a very great deal further, and she certainly isn't out of it here this afternoon. Now we've got the top 4 in the betting.
Circus Colours and Pistol River and Black Dragon are now co-favourites on 7 to 1. Alaska 8 to 1, 10 to 1 bar.
Let's have a look at number 4 now. This is running in the Queen's colours, Empire Pool, trained by Lord Huntington, and the mount of Alan Monroe. In fact, he's carrying a visor for the first time here today. After winning a small race at Brighton in May, went on to finish good second to Son of Spring. In a hot handicap at Epsom at the Derby meeting, but today could probably find the ground a little bit on the slow side. What do you think, John? A little bit upset there, as you can see.
Yes, the visor certainly seems to have woken him up, or something does. He won a 3-horse race at Brighton, but it was a pretty good horse he beat, Kusamba, by a head, who was made odds-on to beat him, and that was a good performance. Second at Epsom, as you say, where obviously the connections felt, he kept a little bit back, and he's visored for the first time. But although he was a little bit stirred up leaving the paddock, he seems to be going down well enough now, Jimmy.
I think so, as you say, the visor for the first time just got a little bit G into him. But I was just wondering how he is going to handle the ground, because quite a lot of his good running has been done on fastish ground, but looking at him there, it doesn't seem to be troubling him at all. Be interesting to see what the jockeys do say when they come back in today after the first race. I myself think it's going to ride very much on the dead side. It can do here. Sometimes a shower of rain, although we don't want it here at the moment, can just help it a little. It eases the ground. Today, with this drying wind and sun, it could be getting quite hard work. You can see the big crowd here now, which has gone down to the rails to see these runners canter down about a furlong and a half. In fact, they're down at the 2 furlong marker, and about to turn is, I think, Lijam. And with Walter Swinburne in the saddle, and in fact, there he is. He's a very nice colt, this, by Persian Bold, and just a little bit hesitant to canter off, but Walter is just saying, steady, old boy, you'll go when I want you to go, not before. Most of the other runners have already joined him, but we'll go with Lijam. He won't mind the ground, I don't think. He's shown form on heavy to firm going, so he handles most types. And Walter's not too keen on letting him canter off just yet. He most likely takes a little bit of a grip, and he says, I'll get a little bit of a lead so I can cover him up. And I think you can see the reason why there. He's got a drop noseband on as well, so I should think this horse takes a fair old tug when he wants to.
He won a maiden at Carlisle by 25 lengths earlier in the year, Jimmy, and although the opposition may not have been very much, to win a flat race by 25 lengths is a very wide margin indeed. Third at Epsom at the Derby meeting, behind Son of Spring and Empire Pool, and in front of Circus Colours. That was on good to firm going, and he'll be much better suited by today's conditions. 10 to 1 in the betting. He has gone off in front on many occasions, and Walter may well try the same tactics on him here.
I think you're right there, John. He's much happier when he's boring along somewhere near the front. I would think if you try and drop him back too far back, as you can see there, Walter's having a little bit of trouble pulling him up. I should think he only fights you, so he's much better off to try and settle him from the front. It's got him nicely now, though. Have a look at number 2, one of the top weights. Master Charlie, the mount of Frankie Dettori, after winning a maiden at Salisbury. Rather snugly, I thought. Wasn't disgraced when third behind Tioman Ireland on the same course. He rather took a shine to Salisbury. Well, Salisbury's a nice big galloping track. It's right-handed, quite a sharp right-hand turn. It teaches a horse to use himself. I think Master Charlie's going to give Frankie Dettori a good ride here today, John, by Master Willie.
I think he's definitely got a chance. They're just announcing the best turned out winner. I didn't quite catch it, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it was this colt who looks absolutely magnificent. He came very smoothly to win his race at Salisbury, as Jimmy says, beating Yami, one of today's runners, and third on the same course over 1.5 miles on softish ground, so he should stay all right by Master Willie.
If you were edging your bet, as John was saying, on the best turned out, this is probably the one, although we didn't catch who it actually was, but Ian Balding seems to win it time after time. Have a look at number 12, and that, I think, is coming out of the murk there, out of the gloom from under the trees, is number 12, Glen Echo, the mount of Richard Quinn. What a season Richard Quinn's having. If he wins the race today, that'll be his 50th winner. Glen Echo showed signs of becoming a racehorse when winning a maiden at Chepstow last month, when getting the better of Beecham Hero by 2 lengths. That was over 1 mile. He tries 1.5 miles for the first time here today. He's owned by a really lovely man called Seymour Kern, and Seymour breeds a lot of horses in the States. In fact, I think he's got somewhere near 300 horses, broodmares and racehorses in America, and he's suddenly bringing horses over to England. He enjoys his racing here and has made many friends.
This colt has never run further than 1 mile, as you say. He ran over 1 mile on soft going at Chepstow, was travelling like a winner all the way when beating Beecham Hero by 2 lengths, was hastened to add 6 lengths away, and that form has been made to have quite a good look about it, with hasten to add running well since then. So if this colt is suited by the big jump up in distance, he could well be one of many with a chance here in this open handicap. Incidentally, it's the only handicap of the day here.
Glen Echo, as I was saying, trained by Guy Harwood, who trains at Pulborough in Sussex, and in fact he's got an open day on the 4th of July, and anybody that wants to go along, I recommend it, because it's high on the Sussex Downs and it overlooks right the way down to Findon, a really beautiful place, and all the proceeds go to the Mary Howe Cancer Trust, and it really is fun. Well, we had a look at Glen Echo there, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's not a little bit of money might be for this. Let's go to Len Martin and have a look.
Well, Glen Echo is still 14 to 1, having drifted from 12s, but we have a clear favourite, Black Dragon, 7 to 1. Pistol River and Circus Colours are on 15 to 2. Lee Jam 9 to 1 from 10s, bit of money there, and Alaska is 10 to 1. On 12 to 1, Learmont, Glen Echo and Life at Key 14, same as Maris Mill, and Master Charlie is 16 to 1, 20 to 1 bar.
Let's have a look at number 17, amount of John Carroll. Learmont showed quite a lot of dash when making all at Sandown, and held on by half length to get the better of Gradient. That was over 1.25 miles. It should be suited by the extra half mile today. He's by Lear Fan, got a chance.
He's also the best turned out horse, and Gareth Jones, who looks after him, wins the £100 award. That's Master Charlie going in on the far side, the one I thought might have been in contention as the best turned out. Here's Circus Colours and Pat Eddery, drawn near the inside, or right on the inside, at number 20. Number 8 in the first colours of Sheikh Mohammed is Michael Roberts on Black Dragon, Learmont in the second colours.
Just getting a little bit warm. You can see there, John. I don't think there's too many more to go now. In fact, I think the filly is going to be the last, number 20. Also getting a little bit warm. Black Dragon, joint favourite with Pistol River at 7-1. Circus Colours at 15-2. Lear Jam 9-1 from 10s. 10-1 bar those. Time to join feet.
Alaska the last in for the King George V handicap. They're under starters orders and they're running. And breaking fast on the inside is Contract Court. Contract Court going on with Yami on the outside. Contract Court from Yami. Circus Colours prominent on the inside. Well up there, and joining them now is Lijam. And Lijam goes right up to join the leaders. Black Dragon just in behind them. Lijam on the outside. Circus Colours right up with him now. Then just in behind them, Contract Court as they race down towards Swinley Bottom. Yami still right up with the lead. Black Dragon towards the outside. The back marker at the moment is Life at Key, with Alaska also one of the back markers as they race down to the mile pole. And as they do so, Lijam on the outside, just about the leader from Yami. Circus Colours on the inside, and then Black Dragon. Then losing a little bit of ground is Contact Court. Running down to the 7 furlong pole, Lijam the leader from Yami on the inside, Black Dragon and Bowman, who's joined them towards the outside. Bowman, in fact, on the outside, right up with the pace now as they come to the 6 furlong pole. And it's Bowman just about the leader. From in second place, Black Dragon. Just in behind Black Dragon on the inside is Yami, spot is Black Cap, and then Lijam on the outside. Alaska's made very good progress in behind the lead, but towards the right of the picture, it's Bowman in the lead with Yami, the rider with the black cap, towards the left. Just in behind them come Black Dragon. Behind Black Dragon, making good ground, is Master Charlie. Alaska well in the picture. Circus Colours towards the far left. They're beginning to swing now towards the home turn, and as they do so, it's Bowman the leader. Alaska over on the inside, on the far side that is. Yami between horses, then Master Charlie, then Black Dragon, and also Learmont making very good progress just in behind the lead. They've got 2.5 furlongs to run now, and Learmont has taken it up in the second colours of Sheikh Mohammed. It's Learmont the leader now from Alaska in second. Here comes Pistol River with a run, and Master Charlie as well. But Learmont, who's running about a bit in the centre of the course, is the leader as they come down towards the furlong pole. Learmont under pressure from Master Charlie. Pistol River making ground, then comes Alaska racing into the final 150 yards, and Learmont in the second colours from Pistol River is putting in a challenge, but Learmont is going to hold them all under John Carroll. Learmont is going to win it as they come to the line. Learmont's the winner. Pistol River is second. Third is Master Charlie. For Alaska, they're the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the King George V handicap. And looking way back to last place, it was in fact Contract Court. And so the result: first, number 17, Learmont, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, is first winner at the 1993 Royal Meeting, trained by John Gosden and ridden by John Carroll, his first meeting as well. Second, number 5, Pistol River, owned by Mr. Paul Green, trained by Richard Hannon and ridden by John Reed. And third was number 2, Master Charlie, owned by Mr. David Watson, trained by Ian Bording and ridden by Frankie Dettori. Fourth was number 20, Alaska.
So a winner for Sheikh Mohammed at last, but a second string. But he's come with a terrific rattle off the pace. There he comes on the outside. He's got there very quickly, although he darted across to the right as he came from third or fourth in the straight to take the lead over 2 furlongs out. Alaska, who'd led entering the straight, can't find any more. Master Charlie comes with a good run, and in the blue colours, the joint favourite, or the early favourite, Pistol River, comes with every chance. But this horse, Learmont, has improved with every race. He won his maiden last week from a fair field, and even with a £4 penalty, it's no problem today. John Carroll, the lucky man who's come in for the ride. Michael Roberts riding Black Dragon, who couldn't handle the ground. Pistol River's come through into second place here, but can't pull back the leader. In fact, quite the opposite. The leader, although still running about and still running green, improving with his races, beautifully prepared by John Gosden to win this race, which his father Towser Gosden won a few years back, wins the King George by a good 2.5 lengths. And this is how it looked as Learmont stormed to the front. John Carroll pulls his whip through to his left hand again and drives this horse out for his first success at the Royal meeting, and one which will give him terrific pleasure. And John Gosden, this superb trainer, well, he's delivered the horse on the day, on the right handicap mark, even with a penalty, in perfect condition, to give Sheikh Mohammed a 14-to-1 winner.
So John Carroll gets his name on the Ritz Club Charity Club board, the charity trophy board, but Pat Eder is still with a very, very clear advantage. 3 ahead of his nearest rival on the 4-winner mark. John Gosden, the tall figure to the right, just out of picture at the moment, with Sheikh Mohammed in front of him. That's John with the grey morning suit. What a tremendous success he's made, following in the footsteps of his father Taza. And the starting prices on the opener and Gold Cup day at Ascot as follows.
First, number 17, Learmont, 14-to-1. Second, number 5, Pistol River, 7-to-1, joint favourite. Third, number 2, Master Charlie, 16-to-1. And fourth, number 20, Alaska, 10-to-1. Result now from Ripon. This is the 2:15 race there. First, number 8, Mr. Pist, 6-to-1. Second, number 2, Close to Reality, 7-to-2 favourite. And the third, number 6, General Gubbins, 14-to-1.
We're now back to yesterday, and by the end of play, the ground was pretty soft. Her Majesty the Queen had one of her best chances of the meeting with Spring to Action in the Queen's Vase. But the ground really wasn't in his favour. This was him, and he was pretty easy to back, with Infrasonic, the French challenger, the clear favourite. Commentator, Peter O'Sullivan.
Kassab still the leader from St. Keen. Being chased along in third is Acanthus. Just behind them, Spring to Action and then Silverdale. A gap then to Infrasonic, and Bona Bridge and Blue Grotto are some way behind the remainder now as they race towards the half-mile pole. Kassab on the inside of St. Keen. Spring to Action still going well on the inside with Acanthus towards his outside. Silverdale and Infrasonic comes next as they swing for home now. Into the home straight, and Kassab still holding his place on the inside from St. Keen on the outer. Spring to Action in the Royal Colours has moved into third ahead of Acanthus, and making ground on the inside is Infrasonic, coming down to the 2-furlong pole, and St. Keen has taken the advantage now, pressed by Infrasonic. It's St. Keen now from Infrasonic. Kassab over on the far side. Silverdale unleashing a run towards the outer. Infrasonic takes the advantage now as they come down to the furlong pole, and inside it, it's Infrasonic being pressed by Silverdale. Infrasonic and Pat Edery from Silverdale as they race up towards the line. Pat Edery from Michael Roberts, and Infrasonic is going to win it. Infrasonic is the winner, and Silverdale is second, and Kassab is third. St. Keen is 4. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 was Spring to Action, Acanthus and Bona Bridge.
Infrasonic there, giving Pat Edery his second success of the day and really boosting the form of White Muzzle, to whom he finished 4th in the Italian Derby. With a big gamble in the last race, the Bessborough Stakes was on Black Patch Hill, owned and trained by John Dunlop. He was back down to 4-to-1. Well, once again, it was impossible to beat that man, Pat Edery.
They've got just over 6 furlongs to race, and Black Patch Hill racing wide has come through to just about take it up with Source of Light. Then Lee Fantastic is well there too, with Dershan racing next, and then much sought after Turgenev's improving, but with 4.5 furlongs to race, Black Patch Hill the leader from Source of Light. then Dershan, much sought after, Leaf Fantastic, and Turgenev. And they've got under 3 furlongs to race now, and Black Patch Hill tacking over towards the inside now. The favourite leads from Source of Life, then much sought after, Dershan being ridden along, Turgenev improving on the outside as they swing for home, 2.5 furlongs out, and Black Patch Hill the leader from Source of Light, then Turgenev coming wide, Port Sunlight comes next, and now Source of Light's taking it up from Black Patch Hill, then Turgenev coming on the outside, these 3 going clear of Dershan, and then Port Sunlight and Source of Light with Black Patch Hill battling back on the inside. Turgenev still in with a chance on the outside. These 3 are well clear as they come to the last half furlong. Source of Light hanging on in front. Could this be another for Pat Edrick? Black Patch Hill fighting back all the time, and Turgenev running on the near side, but Source of Light just gets there from Turgenev, Black Patch Hill, and Last Embrace runs on to be 4.
Source of Light there completing a 1,007-to-1 treble for Pat Eddery, and on a horse that we always thought was totally unsuited by soft ground. And that puts the Ritz Club Charity Trophy very much into Mr. Eddery's pocket, you would think. That wasn't such a happy race for the champion jockey Michael Roberts. He picked up a 4-day suspension for excessive use of the whip on the runner-up Turgenev. Now the time for the first race this afternoon was 2 minutes 37.9 seconds, and that is 9 seconds slower than the standard. So the jockeys, not surprisingly, have described the ground as soft, heavy, and in one case very testing and gluey indeed. But they seem to finish, and certainly the state of the ground would have been no problem at all for the man who's about to join me, for whom that was a first ever Royal Ascot winner, John Carroll. John, many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How did the race go for you? First of all, how did you get the ride?
I ride a few for Mr. Gosden up the north, and we're coming down here to ride Fireflyer, and Mr. Gosden rang me up and he said, if Mace rides the other horse, would I ride this one? And everything just worked out great, really.
Did he tell you much about him? Did he give you much encouragement beforehand?
He said he'd run a big race. Mr. Gosden said, I think the drawer won't be against you because the better ground should be on the outside, and Mr. Gosden was right. We've tracked down the outside rail all the way around till we've turned in, and I think we've got through the ground better out there than they have on the inside.
When you picked him up, he really quickened well, didn't he?
He quickened really well, and then he's still a little bit green. He just tended to look about a bit and wonder a little, but I mean, for a horse, you know, I mean, it's hard work on that ground out there, especially being in front for so long that, you know, but he's done it well in the end.
Well, it's extraordinary if a horse has run 4 times this year, as you say, he still doesn't seem to know a lot.
No, I think, you know, he's one of them horses, he's got that much ability, he takes himself there, and he just, when he gets there, he's just all a bit new to it. So,
did it seem a long way home?
It did, the last furlong did. I thought something's got to come and get me. So it just seemed forever to get that last furlong.
Well, he's won well. It's a great start for you, and of course there's more to come, because having won the first here, you now ride Wildflower in the Cork Orrery. Would he have a chance?
He will, you know, he'll love the ground. He will love the ground, and he's got a great following, the Blackpool people, so I'm hoping that he'll run a very big race for him.
And tomorrow in the Woking Stakes, Mr. Berry's got a couple of runners. Any chances?
Yeah, Amaron. I think Amaron will run the best in that for us. He goes well for Nicky Carlisle. I think he'll like the ground. If they go fast, he's an horse what will be finishing.
Which horse is that?
Amaron.
Amaron. Well done, and good luck for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you very much.
That's John Carroll. Well, the sun's come out. 60,000 people here in search of Nigel Dempster, and more important, in search of Eve Pollard.
Well, I did talk about the men earlier, and of course they are wearing wonderful ties, and the really gallant ones have ties and sometimes buttonholes to match their ladies. Could have had a pink one, couldn't he? There's a very nice dark green, sort of silk shantung suit. I think that sort of fabric was brilliant for yesterday. You couldn't see the rain spots on it. Well, some coat of many colours. Well, and she's wearing a very long skirt with a slit that's very long too. And if she was here yesterday, she's worn platform shoes to keep her from the cold and the wet. Big bows, we've seen them all week, and they've blossomed on small hats, big hats, jackets, handbags, shoes, everywhere they can. A lot of black and a lot of white, we've seen them all week. More long skirts today, and in fact, having walked around, more trousers today too, so the dedicated followers of fashion, for whom Ladies' Day is the big day, have obviously pulled out all the stops. Pale pink, with a sort of pudding basin hat. Very neat. It's one of the things, you know, it's a very long day, so that women have to look sort of good from beginning to end. It's quite difficult. This is a sort of interesting shape we started to see yesterday. She's got flowers around the middle of that hat. And she's got a nice warm blazer on. And there's that soft, long chiffon skirt, which designers have been trying to push us into. Oh, morning coat and topper there. Very nice feminine version of what men have been wearing for as long as one can remember at Ascot. And big saucer spots on that dress, and she's determined to wear that, whatever the weather. Heavier, clumpier shoes this year, certainly. The famous Gucci loafer you can see everywhere, and the Chanel type with the black tip, which at least means the black tip won't get too scuffed looking, even if it's scratched when you have a closer look. And coat dresses, under which I've been told lots of women are wearing sort of thermal bodies. And there's Francis Lee, who used to play football for England, and now he's a racehorse trainer, so naturally he'd be here. His wife's plumped for a pale pistachio green hat and a short skirted suit. Oh, earrings that are horses. That's very seemly. And she's got a jacket that are horses and jockeys. She obviously meant us to find her, and so we have. Very, very nice long skirt in white with the black underneath. Big earrings, big drops have been floating around all week. And women have just stuck their hair behind their ears and dangled around. She hasn't got very much in that bag. Oh yes, kissing. Kissing that people love to do when they meet one another. Very difficult if you have a large hat. This can be an advantage or a disadvantage, depending on who you meet. That's a three-tiered skirt. Oh, there's Geraldine, someone I know. And very nice pale pink, which she's got pale pink earrings to match. It does take a lot of thought. And not necessarily money to look good at this occasion. She's got daisies, and she's even got a butterfly floating among the daisies on that hat. And she's got matching pearls at her wrist and her neck. It's a lovely dress, this. Very glamorous, almost in the evening dress stakes, but she's been very clever and got matching accessories that sort of go with the feel, sort of Spanish feel. And that hat literally is festooned with orange and yellow, and she's got a waistcoat top and a very long skirt and sort of mules on at the bottom. And that's Miriam Frankham and Charlie Brooks, and she's also in orange and yellow. Very pretty sou'wester, made up of squash flowers, I think. Maybe they're not squash, maybe they're just not opened yet. And the big pull-down sombrero, or the large cloche hat that we've seen all week. More flowers. Often people, of course, do hang on to the same hat and just put different flowers on every year to match their outfits, and why not? And the topper, without any doubt, one of the main hat looks this year. Milliners are obviously just had to change their size. I don't know whether women's heads are much bigger or smaller than men's. Here's this yellow and orange or peach formation again, and it's a very attractive coat dress.
The fashion scene on Ladies' Day, and now we move on to the biggest non-handicap field of the week, the 19-runner field for the Cork Orrery Stakes. Runners and riders, Peter O'Sullivan.
Yes, 19 in the absence of Marina Park, and number 1 is Keen Hunter, ridden by Michael Roberts. 2 Mont Bleu for France, Thierry Janet. 3 Hamas, Willie Carson. 4 Street Rebel for Ireland, Stephen Crane. 5 Pips Pride, Frankie Dettori. 6 College Chapel for Ireland, Lester Piggott. 7 Cradle Days, Mick Cannan. 8 Filed Flyer, John Carroll. 9 Montendre, John Reed. 10 Petardia, Michael Hills. 11 Thurios, Richard Quinn. 12 Gara, Pat Edery. 13 Stack Rock, Kieran Fallon. 15 Brig Fair, Richard Hills. 16 Dolphin Street for France, ridden by Kevin Darley. 17 Nordic Fox for Ireland, the first ride in England for 20-year-old Seamus Heffernan. 18 is Rain Brother, ridden by Darrell Holland. 19 Silver Wizard, Alan Munro. And 20 is Specified, ridden by Paul Edery. And here's how they bet at the moment.
And according to the first show, 2 in the running. College Chapel, the favourite, 4-1. Dolphin Street nearest, 6-1. A bit of a gap to Pips Pride on 9s, and Turio on 10 with Gara. Keen Hunter, Montendre, and Silver Wizard and Specified are on 12-1. And Mont Bleu, 14-1, 16-1 bar.
And here's the horse who's the Irish banker of the week. I've heard him described as the best horse in Ireland at present. College Chapel, trained by Vincent O'Brien, who's won this race 4 times. And unbeaten in 2 races, the more recent of which was the Greenland Stakes at the Curragh.
College Chapel going easily on the extreme left, coming to the 2 furlong marker now, and it's Up and Atom who takes it up from College Chapel, coming there strongly. Then comes Diamonds Galore, beginning a run. Is dashing colours on the outside, but College Chapel, the favourite, quickens up and goes 2 in front. Up and Atom, Diamonds Galore, and they're followed in 4th by Nightjar, putting in a run, but racing into the final furlong, it's College Chapel, the lead of Pernillas, come out of the pack with a storming run on the near side, but it's College Chapel 2 in front, Pernillas second, they're clear of the rest. College Chapel wins it at the line. College Chapel takes the Greenlands.
Well, he's 4-1 favourite and the strength of that. But Tracy, is that form good enough? Because although he won quite cosily, Penilla's not a great filly, is she?
No, but he comes here with a lot of confidence riding on him. He's shown some great work at home. This mile seems to be no problem at all, and as I've said earlier on in the week, he seems to love this sort of ground. And as we saw yesterday, we've had considerable amount of rain. I think everything should favour him. It is a point in fact on the form. Was it good enough form? We'll find out today. But he looks the type of horse that is going to suit today's conditions. My father's reasonably confident. I was talking to Vincent's son, Charles O'Brien, earlier on, and everything has gone to plan so far. So just keep the fingers crossed. It would be lovely to see Vincent O'Brien have his 25th Royal Ascot win. He's got a marvellous record here. But there are a few that aren't going to make it that easy for him, and of course he's drawn quite low, which is an obvious disadvantage.
Well, he's a bonny little sprinter type, and he looks in great shape. Vincent is here. Let's now join Jimmy and John.
Thank you, Julian. And a nice little jump there from Street Rebel. I should say, in fact, College Chapel, just to show his well-being. Vincent O'Brien, we've been trying to spot in the paddock to give you a look at the great man, Dr. Vincent O'Brien, that is, but we can't find him as yet. There's a big crowd here now, big field, 19 runners, quite a lot of connections in the centre of the track. But I was talking, in fact, to my Irish connections, and they say that this colt really revels in the soft ground. He didn't see the racecourse as a 2-year-old. Dr. Vincent O'Brien gave him plenty of time to come to hand. His first run this year was over 7 furlongs when winning the Tetrart Stakes at the Curragh by 3 lengths from Master Tribe. He was then reverted back to the day's distance for his last start when he got the better of Penilia by a length on the same course. He loves a hard course, he loves plenty of giving the ground, and well, it looks as if Leicester's going to have a great chance of landing another Cork Orrery Stakes.
He's quite a short-backed colt, this Jimmy, by Sharpo, out of good winning family, scarcely blessed, who's by so blessed. And Sharpo's horses, as we've said so often, nearly always go well in this ground. 4-1 favourite in this 19-runner field.
There you can see the great man himself talking to, I think that's Dr. Vincent O'Brien. He looks very much like him. In fact, it is him. And Leicester, well, taking everything in, as you can see there at the moment. I wonder what Vincent's saying to Leicester. And you think of all the successes that they've had over the years together as a team. Horses like Najinsky, Saraiva, and here at Ascot in the Ascot Gold Cup, Gladness, and well, some really great horses right down through, I would say, something like over the last 40 years. Great man himself walks along to be united with College Chapel. Just checks his saddle over very quickly, a very shrewd eye, Leicester. Gathers up his reins, gets a leg into the saddle. Well, there's not too many 57-year-old men that can do that. He's now gone to 9-2 from 4-1. And looks a picture in the paddock. Well, we'll go to another one now. This is number 16. This is Dolphin Street, the mount of Kevin Darley. Runs in the colours of Mr. Stavros Niarchos. This colt has his first run in England, in fact. He's won both his starts this year. A small race at St. Cloud in April, and then a listed race at Baden-Baden. On both occasions, he had plenty of give in the ground, so this colt, trained in France by Englishman John Hammond, should have no trouble of handling today's heavy ground, as the jockeys were saying. Very, very testing indeed. John, not a bad type of horse.
Looks a very nice horse, as does the other French-trained horse, Mont Bleu. Dolphin Street's trained by John Hammond, who has sought out in the Gold Cup, the big race. Sought out, it'll be ridden by Cash Asmussen, but Cash can't do 8-2, though on occasions he can get very near it, despite being very tall for a jockey. But Kevin Darley can do 8 stone 2, and he takes the ride here.
Kevin about to go out onto the course. A real scramble this is going to be. Quite a big field for this race, so usually there's not quite so many runners, and they usually go a good old lick, and this 6 furlong is going to take quite a lot of getting up. This is number 19, Silver Wizard, trained by Jeff Lewis, who we've seen walking up and down the paddock 3 or 4 times today. I think he's getting a little bit on the edge, Jeff. Jeff, when he was riding, a very laid-back jockey, and well, I think Silver Wizard, he thinks is going to give him a great run today, and he could actually. He proved himself a very good 2-year-old, winning 4 of his 7 starts, and looked like being very much a Guineas prospect, but could only finish 5th of the 14 runners behind Symphonic in the first of the Colts Classics, that was. Only 8 lengths off the winner, though. He's a strong-willed horse who likes to bowl along, so could be suited by today's shorter distance. Maybe this is what he's been wanting, 6 furlong shot.
He looked very fast last year, and he's won 4 of his 9 starts altogether. His last run was in Ireland, when behind Nordic Fox. Silver Wizard, he can take a fair hold. Alan Munro takes the ride here for Jeff Lewis.
Silver Hawk. This is a very interesting horse. So John was saying, a very good looking French horse in the field, and this is the other one, number 2, Mont Bleu, running in the colours of Mr. Daniel Wildenstein, and what a lovely horse he is. He's a typical sprinter, this, a very big heavy horse through the shoulders, really powerful quarters, and well, you look at his forearms, they're nearly as big, twice the size of any other horses, also his second thighs, but just look at that strength as he gets his hocks right under him on the way to the start. In fact, he's one of France's top sprinters. He had a good time last year winning the Palace House Stakes at Newmarket here in England, and then he won the Prix Gros de Chêne at Chantilly. Has been runner-up in both his starts this term. The last when failing by a short head to beat Surprise Offer when trying to win the Prix de Gros Chêne for the 2nd time. He's a horse that likes plenty of give in the ground. He handles it well. Pierre Gianni, who's in the saddle, has had a really cracking start to the new French season. He's ridden 75 winners so far, so he's not far off his 100. He's going nearly as fast a gallop as Pat Edery is here. A beautiful rider, rides very short, as you can see, But John and I have always thought that, well, he soon finds his way around the courses here, John, doesn't he?
He rode 2 very good races here yesterday, though he was just beaten in both of them on Matelot in the Jersey Stakes and on Elizabeth Bay in the Coronation Stakes. Mont Bleu was narrowly beaten by Surprise Offer, trained by Richard Hannon at Chantilly on soft ground last time out. That was over 5 furlongs, but he has won at today's trip of 6 furlongs.
Andre Fabre, who trains this horse, always has his horses looking really well. Let's have a look at number 9 now. This is Montendre. There he is in the big disc. You can see in the middle of the picture there. He's ridden by John Reid. He's one of my favourites, actually. He's a grand old horse, this. He comes into his own when the ground gets soft. He's retained his ability with a good second in the Abernant at Newmarket in April, and a fair third to Hamas in the Duke of York Stakes. He loves a tough track. I know John knows him really well. John, a great friend of Matty McCormick, his trainer. John, he's a really lovely old character, this, isn't it?
Yes, he's done very well for Matt. Altogether, he's won 5 races, been second 5 times, and been third 5 times in 31 starts, so almost half the time he's been in the frame. Matt hasn't trained him for all his racing career, in fact, but he has for the last 3 seasons. Loves the soft ground, has run well here before, and could give a good account of himself. I think 13, Jimmy, from what we saw yesterday, is probably a pretty reasonable draw.
Agree with you there, John. I just wonder if the ground has changed up the straight track. I should think it's a bit harder work than it was yesterday, but I agree, 13 seems to be a pretty fair draw. John Reid having his girths done. That was number 9, Montendre. Let's have a look at the top weight now. Well, no top weight actually, because it's a condition race, but he's number 1. Keen Hunter, this 6-year-old, has his first start of the season today. Last year proved himself somewhat near the top with some good runs, notably when 2 lengths second behind Mr. Brooks. Tragically, Mr. Brooks was killed in the Breeders' Cup, but he was a very good sprinter. And then in the Prix de l'Abbey, that was, he can handle soft ground, he looks really well, and John Gosden bid him for a double here.
He won the Prix de l'Abbey the year before last, Jimmy. He's a horse that can win after a long absence. He's been difficult to train, obviously, because he's a 6-year-old. He's run only 10 times in his life, but he's won 4 of those, and he is a very good horse.
There's number 5. This is Pip's Pride. Had a very good time last year as a 2-year-old, winning 4 of his 9 starts, notably the Heinz 57 at Leopardstown, and then the race called Gold Trophy at Redcar. We had that on television for you. The ground was riding pretty dead on that occasion. He's had just the 1 run this year when getting the better of Branston Abbey by a hard-fought head at Lingfield in May, but he's another one that can handle the heavy ground. He's now with Richard Hannon.
He is sure to give you a good run for your money if you fancy backing him, because he's got such tremendous early speed that wherever he is at the finish, I think he's sure to be up there in the early stages. They did try holding him up, but it didn't work. He's much better to be allowed to go off in front, and despite his brilliant early speed, he does keep on well in testing conditions. So he's 10 to 1 from 9 to 1, so he's gone out since our last show, but he was available at as much as 16 to 1 this morning.
You can see perhaps, John, why he loves to bowl along. He's a big strong horse, this, and I would think he likes to use his stride. Number 3 we'll have a look at just this side of him. This is Hamas. He started his 4-year-old campaign well when winning the Group 3 Duke of York Stakes. That was in May. But has since disappointed him, went out of the money in the Group 2 Temple Stakes at Sandown. That was 2.5 weeks ago. Quite a lot of his best form has been achieved on fastish ground. Just wondering, John, whether he's going to cope with this sticky old ground today.
There must be a question mark against that. As you say, he's run well on fast ground and over a longer trip.
Another interesting runner is the mount of Stephen Crane. This is number 4, Street Rebel. Ran in this race last year, finishing in the middle of the field, so he's got a bit of running to do to get his head in the right end today. He's been tried over various distances. His 3 runs this year from 6 furlongs, in fact, to an extended mile. He usually runs a sound race, though. He's trained by Noel Mead. That's number 4, Street Rebel.
He's got a bit to do to reverse placings with College Chapel from the Curragh a month ago. Ridden by Stephen Crane, who will forever be famous for winning last year's King George and Queen Elizabeth Stakes on Saint-Gervais. The top 5 in the betting are College Chapel 4-1, Dolphin Street 6-1, Garra 9-1, Pip's Pride 10, and Thorios 11. It's 12-1 bar the 5. This is Thorios, who's been running very well lately, but has been tried over a lot of different distances. On Derby Day at Epsom, he ran over 1.5 miles a furlong, and after making the running, fought back well at the finish, Jimmy.
Yeah, they've tried him over various trips too, John. He's a funny horse, really. He's got a lot of ability. He's another horse that doesn't like to be interfered with in running. I'm just wondering, he's been running over 6 furlongs and 1 mile. But a big, strong horse, and if he throws his best foot forward a day, could be thereabouts. He's quite well drawn at 10.
Well, it's Pip's Pride just going in. And we've got another betting flash. The favourite is shortening. 7-2 College Chapel, 6-1 Dolphin Street, 9-1 Garra, who we haven't had a look at, unfortunately. But I think they're just about all in. Here's Peter O'Sullivan.
That's it, Street Rebel, the last in and narrow way. And breaking very fast, Pip's Pride towards the far side. Pip's Pride and Montant right up with him as well. And towards the near side is Rain Brother showing very good speed. Thurios running very fast in the centre, but Pip's Pride just about the overall leader over on the left. Pip's Pride on the left, Garra's well up there too, and Stack Rock also on the near side. Hamas is well in the picture, then comes Rain Brother. Just in behind them come College Chapel and Leicester Piggott, but it's Hamas and Garra disputing it now from Stack Rock. On the near side, Rain Brother. Then just in behind them come College Chapel. Pip's Pride over on the left of the picture. Foul Flyer with a sheepskin noseband trying to get into it. They're racing down now towards the halfway mark, and as they do so, Garra has the advantage. It's Garra from Hamas. College Chapel towards the stand side. Rain Brother losing ground under pressure. Silver Wizard trying to get in the argument. Keen Hunter's come there strongly on the far side, but Leicester Piggott coming there on the near side on College Chapel to take it up. And it's College Chapel now from Keen Hunter, Montant over on the far side, and then Dolphin Street racing into the closing stages, and it's College Chapel from Keen Hunter as they race up towards the line. Leicester and Vincent O'Brien win it. College Chapel the winner, Keen Hunter is second, Dolphin Street is third, and Montant fourth. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 1993 Cork Orrery Stakes, in which Leicester Piggott has won his 9th Cork Orrery, and Vincent O'Brien, with College Chapel, his own horse, has won his 5th Cork Orrery. The result, first number 6, College Chapel, in the colours of Mrs. Vincent O'Brien, Jacqueline O'Brien, trained by Vincent O'Brien, his 25th Royal Ascot winner, and ridden by Leicester Piggott. Second was number 1, Keen Hunter, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, trained by John Gosden, and ridden by Michael Roberts. And third, number 16, Dolphin Street, owned by Mr. Stavros Niarchos, trained by John Hammond and ridden by Kevin Darley. Fourth was number 9, Montant. So Leicester wins his 9th Cork Orrery. He won 8 of them between 1958 and 1979, and College Chapel retains his unbeaten record.
What a superbly ridden race this was. There's Leicester 3 from the right, not on the best ground, but waiting his time, as up front Garra and Hamas were blazing a trail. Pip's Pride on the far side, just starting to come to the end of his tether. And Leicester waited and waited. There must have been a temptation to go, but he's held on to his horse. He's kept him beautifully balanced, while the leaders still have a couple of lengths on him. And Keen Hunter in the centre of the course in the Sheikh Mohammed colours, he makes first run, drifts a bit to the left as he makes his run, but then when Leicester says go, this horse finds 3 lengths quickly, goes a length clear. Now, having hit the front, he runs about a little bit, and Michael Roberts comes back at him on Keen Hunter. But this horse has got the resources, he's unbeaten, it's only the 3rd run of his career, but there's no danger in the last 100 yards, and the cheers of the Irish, I should think, could be heard in Windsor. This was a great success for Vincent O'Brien, and Leicester Piggott, once again, at the age of 57, rides another Royal Ascot winner, returned favourite at 7-2.
So for the 25th time, Vincent O'Brien at the age of 76 in the winner's circle at Royal Ascot. And Jerry Gallagher there, walking to the left of the horse as we see them. Vincent O'Brien's travelling head lad, been with him for over 40 years. I saw the horse out with Jerry this morning, and what a picture he looked. Being led in by Vincent. And great cheers for this memorable time. Jacqueline greeting this very useful coat by Sharpo out of Scarcely Blessed, having a little word with Leicester. And what a record the Maestro has in this race. 9 times to win this coveted 6 furlongs Ascot Sprint. Of course, as a son of Sharpo, he loves this cut in the ground. Jerry Gallagher puts his sheet on. A tremendous reception, of course, from the Irish for this, their banker of the meeting. Leicester, I just noticed a little pat of congratulation to Vincent. And the starting prices as follows.
First, number 6, College Chapel, 7-2 favourite. Second, number 1, Keen Hunter, 12-1. Third, number 16, Dolphin Street, 6-1. And now news from Ripon, the 250 there. First, number 9, Sooty Turn, 6-1. Second, number 11, Pride of Pendle, 7-2 favourite. Third, number 2, Dream Carrier, 14-1. And fourth, number 7, Public Way, 20-1.
That was the magic moment of the Royal Ascot meeting so far. What a reception for Vincent O'Brien and Lester Piggott. Vincent O'Brien's 25th Royal Ascot win. Well, we'll be back in plenty of time for the Gold Cup, the big race of the week. But now we return to Lord's and Tony Lewis.
Wilson.
Welcome back, where a short while ago we enjoyed the magic moment of the Royal Ascot meeting so far. The success of College Chapel in the Cork Orrery Stakes, a wonderful success for the legendary Dr. Vincent O'Brien, and ridden by the indestructible Lester Piggott. A short while ago, I spoke to Lester. Well, Lester, many, many congratulations. It rolled the years back. Did you always think this horse was a Royal Ascot winner?
Well, when he won last time at the Co, you know, that's the way we had to be thinking, that he wasn't in too many big races. And this was the obvious race for him.
How important was the ground to him?
Well, Vincent wasn't all that keen to run today, you know. And the ground, you know, didn't really suit him. You know, he got through it and he tried hard, you know. But I think he's a little better than that.
Well, it must be rather marvellous to ride for Vincent again. You seem to be talking very animatedly in the paddock beforehand. Does he still give a pretty comprehensive instructions?
Yes, you know, he can still tell you everything, you know, you want to know about a horse. It's still marvellous, really, you know.
So how did the race go for you?
Well, really. I had a good lead, and when I came out, Michael Roberts was going very well on Keen Hunter. And, you know, I was very frightened of him, you know. But we raced just head and head for a bit, and then I just threw away from him.
Vincent's won this race 4 times before. Would this be one of the better ones, do you think?
This is as good as any of them.
Well, it's a great moment. You rode your first Royal Ascot winner 42 years ago. Do you still get the same buzz that you did back that year?
I'm afraid so, yeah.
And a fantastic reception today as well.
Pardon?
It was a fantastic reception in the Untitled Enclosure.
Marvellous, you know, for both of us, really. And the horse, you know, because the horse had only had 2 races before, and to come here and run against all those experienced sprinters, you know. It takes a bit of doing.
Well, it's been a week tinged very much with sadness because you lost your father, Keith, on Monday this week. How much did you owe to Keith?
Well, it was very sad for him to go, you know. I owed everything to him. You know, he taught me everything, and he put me there where I am today. And that's what I've got to thank him for.
Sadly, no ride for Lester Piggott in the Gold Cup, a race that he dominated in the 60s and 70s, but 10 runners in all in this great race, under the close scrutiny of Her Majesty the Queen. There she is in the paddock with Colonel Sir Piers Ben Goff and Lord Carnarvon on the right, and no runner will she have been looking at more closely than Drum Taps, trained by the royal trainer Lord Huntingdon and formerly owned by Lord Carnarvon himself. Let's see Pollard.
Well, we can now see the royal party in the paddock, and there's the Queen in her pale peach suit. An unusual hat for her to wear. She normally wears hats with upturned brims, and that's pulled down, and a straight skirt. You can just see a few kick beats behind. There's Princess Royal in yellow with an interesting longer length skirt in a sort of floral pattern that picks up the yellow of the jacket, and a very classic hat, the sort of hat she's worn often before, sort of flying saucer perched on top of her hair being up, and she's with Colonel Andrew Parker Bowles. And Princess Alexandra's also in the paddock, and there you can see that really pretty hat that's sort of smothered with flowers and leaves, and she's in a very pale pink, which we've seen a lot of this week. Again, the longer skirt, and her only real accessory is that very pretty long chiffon navy scarf that goes perfectly with the matching flowers on her hat. So all the royal ladies, or the younger ones, seem to have leapt into longer skirts, certainly, showing how fashionable they can be. Lord Weinstock obviously has a horse in this race, and yet you can see other ladies in the paddock with very short skirts.
So a prize of £107,000 for this Premier Stayers race in Europe. 10 runners from Britain and France and indeed Ireland. They're named by Peter O'Sullivan.
One is Arcadian Heights, ridden by Walter Swinburne. 2, last year's winner Drum Taps, Frankie Dettori. 3, Further Flight, Michael Hills. 4, Turgeon for France, ridden by Michael Roberts. 5, Vintage Crop for Ireland, Mick Kennan. 6, Allagan, Pat Edery. 7, Assessor, Richard Quinn. 8, Daru, carrying the second colours of Sheikh Mohammed. The first colours carried by Turgeon. And Daru, ridden by Ray Cochran. 9, Sylvanesian, ridden by Willie Carson. And 10, the French-trained mare Sought Out, ridden by Cash Asmussen. And here's how they bet.
And Sought Out and Assessor were joint favourites at the first show, but they've sorted themselves out since. Sought Out is clear favourite now, 9-4. Assessor, 11-4, drifting. Drum Taps, 5-1. Vintage Crop 7s. On 12-1, Allagan. Further Flight, 14-1. 3 of them on 20-1, Arcadian Heights, Turgeon and Daru. And Sylvanesian is 25-1 outsider.
So the 1992 winner Drum Taps easy to back at 5-1, and there's no doubt the ground has gone against him, but there's also no doubting his resolution, which he showed to maximum effect 12 months ago.
Coming to the 2 furlong pole, and Tyrone Bridge has shot his bolt, and Enzel is taking it up, but quickly tackled by Drum Taps, and there comes Arcadian Heights on the outside. Drum Taps now the leader from Arcadian Heights. It's Drum Taps by a length and a half from Arcadian Heights, racing into the final furlong, and Drum Taps going away from Arcadian Heights, but Turgeon third as they race up towards the line. Drum Taps holding Arcadian Heights, and Drum Taps wins the Gold Cup. Drum Taps is the winner. Arcadian Heights is second. Turgeon is third.
Well, the going that day was good to firm, and he was well beaten in the autumn by Sought Out in the Prix du Cadran when the ground was soft. So can he win on this ground, Tracy?
There'd have to be a big question mark over that. He did win on very heavy ground in Italy, but that race really wasn't a very good race, and he's up against a lot tougher opposition here. There's no doubt about his talent. He's a very, very good horse. He's had an easy season so far, so he's not had a hard campaign. He's not without his chance, but I feel that the ground really has gone against him, and you have to take that into consideration.
So if the British are going to win, the best chance probably lies with Assessor. Here he is. He's the horse who won the French St. Leger last October by 2.5 lengths in really soft ground, was Sought Out only third. So on that basis, Tracy, he's got the favourite's chance today.
Yes, he has. He would have one of the better chances. Richard Quinn on board again gets on very well with this horse. You can see the long athletic type, and he really tries very hard. He's got stamina and he's tough. He's a real battler, and I think he's got the really good chance of the day. You know, I think today's his day. We've seen Richard Hannon's horses running very, very well during the week. I think this is the one I'm going to stick with anyway.
He's a really powerful horse, but Sought Out is the favourite. They're coming out onto the course. Let's join Jimmy Lindley and John Hammond.
And a vast crowd now have been surveying the 10 runners around the paddock, and I would say, well, it's not far off a bumper crowd here today. We go with Arcadian Heights, the mount of Walter Swinburne. Walter Swinburne, who won this race in 1991 on Indian Queen. And Arcadian Heights is 20-1 at the moment, trained at Newmarket by Jeff Ragg. And a little bit of a naughty boy sometimes, and he's in a race he's inclined to take a bite out of the opposition, and Walter last year rode him right round the outside, and they tell me some of the jockeys were still saying, Walter, that's near enough. But he's been gelded since the last season through the winter, and he ran a pretty good race on his one start this year at Sandown in the Henry II. A really good looking horse, looking very well, and let's see if he can't improve on last year. Number 2, this is Drum Taps. He's ridden by Frankie Dettori. He's already ridden the Gold Cup winner once, that was in 1992. In fact, on this horse last year. He's trained by Lord Huntingdon at West Ilsley, and he's beautifully turned out, nicely on his toes, and I would say trained to the minute. The Flight, the Grey by Farley. What a generous horse this is. He's one of the gamest stayers in the business. He's ridden by Michael Hills, who's looking for his first win in this great classic. He's trained at Lambourne by Barry Hills, his father, and he doesn't know when to quit, this little horse. He keeps putting his head out and trying all the way to the line. I'm just wondering whether the ground might be a little bit dead for him today. This is number 4, Toujean, Michael Roberts, trained by Jonathan Pease in France. The Englishman, who's now based there at Chantilly, is one of France's best staying horses. Last season as a 6-year-old, was 5 lengths third behind Drum Taps in this very race. Drop back to number 5. This is Vintage Crop, trained in Ireland by Dermot Weld, ridden by Michael Kinane. Michael Kinane, who has ridden 23 winners in Hong Kong, where he was based last season, and since returning has already notched up 34 in his home country, Ireland, and also won the Derby here this year on Commander-in-Chief. Allegan, running in the colours of Commander-in-Chiefs. In fact, they were carried to victory in the Derby and many other races this year. The mount of Pat Edery, trained at Newmarket by Henry Cecil, just failed in the Ormond Stakes at Chester in May to hold Shambo, and a really tough out-and-out stayer. I wonder if he's good enough today. He's 12-1 in the market. This is Assessor. He's stamped himself a classic performer when beating Sought Out in the French St. Leger last season. He's trained by Richard Hannon, who thinks he's going to handle this ground really well. He's ridden by Richard Quinn. Richard's looking for his first win in this race. He's 7-2 from 11-4 at the moment, and if he should oblige, Richard reaches the half a ton in winners this season. Another grey, Daru, running in the visor. The mount of Ray Cochran, trained by John Gosden. Won a small race at Ripon at the first time of asking. I'm just wondering whether he's got the class to figure in the places today. 20 to 1 in the market doesn't reflect. Sylvanesian, the mount of Willie Castle. He has the best record in this race, winning the race no less than 3 times. 1983 on Little Wolf, 1986 on Longboat, and in 1989 he won on Sadim. Sadim was then winning the Gold Cup for the 2nd time. Trained at Arundel, I should say, by John Dunlop, and as I was saying, ridden by the evergreen Willie Castle. Last but not least, in fact, the great French mare Sought Out, 5 years old now, and she had to give second best to Assessor in last season's French St. Leger, but a really game performer who loves to run along in front and never knows when to quit. She keeps on finding that little bit extra, ridden by Cash Asmussen, who in fact won this race on Sadim in 1988, on Royal Gate I should say, but was disqualified, and the race went to Sadim. I wonder if Cash Asmussen is going to be luckier this year. I think probably she could be. They turn, walk back up to the winning post. You can see quite a bumper crowd if you've been watching with us through the 3 days here, that the infield has been quite empty today. The crowd overspilling right the way down to the road. This is the time when the horses are inclined to get a tiny bit edgy. As you can see, Drum Tap's just beginning to get a little bit on his toes. Frankie Dettori trying to keep him quiet, giving him a tap. But these old staying horses are inclined to take it all in their stride. So sometimes the owners and the trainers and the jocks like to see their charge get a little bit worked up. You can see Arcadian Heights is taking it all in his stride this year, and in the spotted colours, Drum Tap's just behind him. And it's quite a long old pull up there from when they turn at the 2 marker, right the way up to the winning post. As you can see, just a little bit of hill there, and you can see Arcadian Heights just giving Walter a little bit of trouble there. He'll be turning shortly to canter down. In fact, the Drum Tap's turns in front of him. They'll be going right the way down towards the Golden Gates for this 2.5 miles furlongs. There is Assessor. I was saying, stamped himself a classic performer. He turns. Richard Quinn gives him a nice length of rein, lets him canter off, banished in front, as you can see. But beautifully turned out by Richard Hannon, by Naniski, and it'll get every inch of this 2.5 miles. And as Richard Hannon was saying yesterday, he thinks that he's going to love this cut in the ground. He's a 7-2 shot from 11 to 4. You can see the divots now from our previous races. He wants to get on with it. Richard doesn't change his hands. Just plays with his mouth a little to keep him from getting into that lovely long stride he's got as he passes the 2. Well, I thought that John, all of the 10 runners were beautifully turned out by their trainers, and I think probably this is one of the best Gold Cups we've seen for a little while.
I think it might take more winning than last year, Jimmy, certainly, when Drum Taps beat Arcadian Heights in very game fashion, but I think he's got a little bit more on his plate this afternoon against Assessor and Sought Out, who are 2 favourites, particularly in today's conditions. Assessor's shown ability right from his first appearance on a racecourse, which was at Kempton as a 2-year-old, when he came from a long way back with a devastating run, and he was good enough to take his chance in last year's Derby, but ran rather disappointingly. This is Sought Out, number 10, who was made odds-on favourite to beat Assessor at Longchamp over 1 mile 7.5 furlongs last season. She normally makes the running, this filly, or is disputing it, but on that occasion, after leading for a couple of furlongs, she dropped back, and although she came with a run again on the home turn, she never really looked like winning that day. Maybe she wasn't good enough, maybe she didn't give her running. She's run well in both her starts this season, both at a distance just short of 2 miles, and she's been beaten for finishing speed narrowly in both those races. 2.5 miles and much softer ground. That should bring her stamina into full play. Number 2, just obscured, is Drum Taps, who has won in testing conditions but is generally thought to be much better on good or good to soft going. It's much softer than that here today. Just had one run this year, which was in Milan on heavy ground, beating moderate opposition with a lot in hand. Cash Asmussen, who rides Sought Out, has a score to settle, having been disqualified after winning this race. Sought Out was clear favourite last time we had a look. Let's see what the betting is now.
And the favourite hardening all the time. Sought Out is a 15-8 now. Assessor a 7-2. Drum Taps 7-1 from 13-2. Vintage Crop is 15-2 from 7s. Allegan 12s. Further Flight 14-1. 3 of them on 20-1. Arcadian Heights, Turgeon and Daru. And Sylvanesian is still the 33-1 outsider.
He nearly followed me.
And Daru's jockey, I believe, was unseated a moment ago. That's Ray Cochran. Daru's always been a bit of a character. In his first ever race at Beverley, he was quite difficult at the start. That was last season, and lost a lot of ground at the start, but was sufficiently classy to pick up his rivals and go on and win. But he can be a problem. He also can be a little bit difficult in his races. Steve Cawthon was banned for excessive use of the whip or using the whip to try and prevent Daru hanging. Steve hit him down the shoulder a few times, and the stewards judged that the circumstances were not the emergency that you need to officially to be in to use the whip down the neck or shoulder of the horse, and the stewards found Steve guilty of improper use of the whip. But this horse is a difficult character, and he nearly lost Ray Cochran again. Oddly enough, he's perfectly genuine in a finish if he comes, if he's held up and not put in front for too long. The top 3 in the betting are Sought Out 15-8, Assessor 100-30, and Drum Taps 13-2, 15-2 bar. So there's been sustained backing for the French challenger over the last couple of days. That's Further Flight going in on the far side, Sylvanesian going in with Willie Carson. Here's the favourite, Sought Out. She's swishing her tail. She can swish her tail in the race as well, especially when put under pressure, but she does appear to be pretty genuine. Assessor's just gone in, coming back now to Drum Taps and Arcadian Heights. They were first and second in this race last year. Arcadian Heights and Walter Swinburne going to go into stall number 5. Finished 5th to Briar Creek, and there's some shouting going on in the stalls. I don't know if that's Daru again. Daru in stall number 1, getting very restive. There aren't too many more to go in. I think Drum Taps could be the last. Here's Peter O'Sullivan.
Yes, that's it. And they're away. And a long, steady run, usually, up towards the winning post on the first circuit, with Sought Out and Cash Asmussen taking him along. From Allegan over on the far side. Between horses is Sylvanesian. Behind them come Turgeon, then Drum Taps and Assessor. And then Vintage Crop right over on the far rail, but it's Sought Out nearest to us, Allegan over on the far rail, Sylvanesian next, and then Turgeon. Then comes Drum Taps and Assessor and Further Flight and Daru. Arcadian Heights, and finally Vintage Crop. And Allegan, this son of a ledge, the leader, towards the left of the picture, towards the right, the mare, Sought Out. Then in third, Willie Carson on Sylvanesian, being followed by Turgeon on the rails. Then comes Drum Taps and Assessor. Then Further Flight, Daru, Vintage Crop, and finally Arcadian Heights. Just a furlong off the winning post on the first circuit now. And Allegan, the leader, trying to become a first winner of the Gold Cup for Prince Khalid. He was in the royal procession today. And he leads from Sought Out from France, the mare, within third place Sylvanesian. Then Turgeon, Drum Taps, Assessor, Further Flight, Daru, Vintage Crop, and Arcadian Heights as they begin to swing right-handed and going a very good clip in this 2.5-mile race with Allegan on the inside of Sought Out. Allegan under Pat Edery, Sought Out under Cash Asmussen. These two with an advantage between them of a couple of lengths, 2.5 lengths over Sylvanesian, with Turgeon 4, 5 Drum Taps, 6 comes Further Flight, 7 on the outside, Assessor, 8 Vintage Crop, 9 Daru, and 10 and last is Arcadian Heights. They're going down the far side rail, looking for the better ground. Allegan and Sought Out from Sylvanesian and Turgeon and Drum Taps and Further Flight. Still a little way behind the others is Arcadian Heights. Allegan still from Sought Out, Sylvanesian, Turgeon, Drum Taps, Assessor next, and then Further Flight, and then Daru, then Vintage Crop, and finally Arcadian Heights. The two leaders virtually matching strides now as they race down to the milepole, with the mare going on again, Cash Asmussen. From Allegan, then Sylvanesian, then Turgeon, then last year's winner Drum Taps, Assessor making a run now towards the outside, then Further Flight and Daru, Vintage Crop, and Sought Out being pressed now by Sylvanesian. And they're going wide again, looking for the better ground. Sought Out from Sylvanesian. Allegan, 6 furlongs from home. Assessor moves closer. Drum Taps going well in 5th place, with just in behind him Turgeon, but still Sought Out and Cash Asmussen with under 5 to run now. From Allegan holding his place over on the far side, Sylvanesian. Still well in contention is Assessor, and Drum Taps, last year's winner, coming there very strongly now under Frankie Dettori. And it's Drum Taps and Sought Out, these two, as they race into the home turn. Drum Taps on the far side, Sought Out on the near side. Assessor beginning a challenge too. Well into the straight now. And Assessor takes it up from Drum Taps as Sought Out drops back and looks well beaten, but Drum Taps surges again at the 2-pole, and it's Drum Taps, last year's winner, from Assessor. Then comes Turgeon over on the far side. Drum Taps from Assessor as they race to the furlong pole. The 1992 winner, Drum Taps, from Assessor on the far side. Turgeon back in third. Drum Taps opening up by 2 lengths now from Assessor. Drum Taps is going to complete the double and win the Gold Cup in successive years as they race to the line. Drum Taps is the winner, Assessor is second, and Turgeon third. Sought Out is 4. 5 is Vintage Crop in a photo with Arcadian Heights, and then Daru and Further Flight and Sylvanesian, and finally Allegan. And so the result of the 1992 Ascot Gold Cup is first, number 2, Drum Taps, owned by Mr. Yoshio Akanawa, trained by Lord Huntingdon and ridden by Frankie Dettori. Second was number 7, Assessor, owned by Mr. B. Nielsen, trained by Richard Hannon and ridden by Richard Quinn. Third was number 4, Turgeon, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Jonathan Pease and ridden by Michael Roberts. And fourth was number 10, Sought Out, owned by Lord Weinstock, trained by John Hammond and ridden by Cash Asmussen. This is the winner, Drum Taps.
What a wonderful race this was, and a real test of stamina, because they went all the way. Frankie Dettori threw down the gauntlet before they came into the straight, took the lead on Drum Taps. Assessor and Richard Quinn joined him early in the straight, and Tertian came with a terrific run on the inside. Sought out who cut out the early running or disputed. It was done with now. Drum Taps goes a length up here, but Assessor wasn't done with and battled back. They came quite close 2 furlongs out, but Drum Taps, on ground which really doesn't favour him at all, ran on with terrific courage, and in the end Assessor drifted towards the far rails. These were tired horses now, and Tertian drops away from him in 3rd place. But what a magnificent repeat performance this is by Drum Taps, and what a brilliant training performance by William Huntington to get this horse on this ground that he doesn't like, at the peak of his form, the peak of perfection, to win a 2nd Gold Cup for Frankie Dettori. 13-2 was the starting price, having drifted out from 3-1 a couple of days ago. And what a thrill for those in the infield to see this outstanding stayer, a 7-year-old now, an entire horse, winning his 2nd Gold Cup in the colours of Mr. Yoshio Asakawa. Frankie Dettori, a moment of joy for him as he passes the post. But did the 1st and 2nd come a little bit close together at the 2 furlong marker here? Here you can see Frankie, here he is, and Richard Quinn as they run. 2 tired horses, and they rode a little bit together. Richard had his whip in his right hand, and just at this point they've come a bit close together. In fact, for a moment it looked as though Frankie's whip was going to get entangled with his rival. Here was the moment they've come close together, but it's Assessor who seems to have come out towards Drum Taps rather than Drum Taps going in on Assessor. Frankie riding with his whip in his right hand now quite correctly as Richard pulls his through to his left hand to pull him off Drum Taps, and now they run home without any further interference.
A great record for Frankie Dettori, only his 3rd ride in the Gold Cup and his 2nd victory, and a marvellous training performance this by Lord Huntington, because this is only the horse's 2nd run this year. His father greeting him there, greeting Frankie, because his 1st outing of the season was in the Coppa d'Oro di Milano, and he was winning that for the 2nd successive year before going on to win 2 successive Ascot Gold Cups. A really fine performance by this 7-year-old son of Dixieland Band out of Lavandula Rose by Leleven Stell. What a brilliant buy by Mr. Yoshio Asakawa, who bought him from Lord Carnarvon. Good run by the runner-up, Assessor, but just not good enough to handle this horse. A really brilliant stayer, because they appeared, particularly considering the testing ground, they appeared to go a very good gallop. Sought out an Allegan, and it was notable how tired they appeared to be in the last quarter mile. So, with Drum Taps the winner, the starting price is as follows.
First, number 2, Drum Taps, 13-2. Second, number 7, Assessor, 100-30. And 3rd, number 4, Turgeon.
Turning and lifting out of the rough, and Gooch and Stewart there coming back for